Okay, students, so we're going to start our Seagull practice. You learned this in class, but let's do a nice deep dive review so there's no missing parts. You're going to start with your disposable peel off ruler, and you're going to peel it off like this. And remember to keep everything in landscape mode. So you're going to be really careful about putting this nice and even right there at the top, okay? So remember, we're going to also just go with the number 1 here, the B6, and the end of C, because otherwise if you go A, B, C, they're going to be a little short. So we start off with our seagull drawing by drawing the first one here, which is going to be on the 1. All right, so you want to remember to draw this nice and straight. I'm going to do a couple demos, and then I have some pre-drawns that we'll go ahead and jump to. So we're going to do right there, 2 lines right there. Then we're going to go to the B, draw a line on B, over here. Make sure you keep your ruler kind of straight. And then we're going to go to the B6 right here. Like that. There's our first set of line drawings. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is go laterally across, and you can use the thickness of any ruler to do that. Just going to go to the bottom here, and we want to make sure we get about line to line. Very light with your pencil. Make sure you drag your pencil. We don't want a heavy pencil. Go here, across. Here, across, same thing up here. Okay, so you should have these line drawings ready to go. All right, and the next thing we're going to do is we're going to start doing our dots. Remember that you're going to do number 1 here. We're going to go with B, B6, and 8. So don't ruler. And I'm just going to redraw these for you. I'm going to go on the 1 here. Just draw a light line down like this. Then we're going to go over the B. This is your plumb line. Get it nice and straight. Pencil down. I'm going to go over to the next one here. Pencil down. Go over here. Pencil down. Okay, so you've got those lines drawing, those are your plumb lines. Now you're going to repeat on the other side the exact same one, so I'm going to leave that for you to do. The next thing we're going to do is our lateral lines across here. So you can use the thickness of your ruler, it works just fine. Go right here, and you're just going to draw these lines in here. So just do them about the thickness of your ruler. If they're a little thicker, it's okay. Just want to make sure that they're straight. So you're going to draw those across. So go ahead and I'll let you finish up those. And that's how we're going to do our grid drawing. So the next step that we're going to do is we're going to do our dots.
Cool. I like that much better there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so now I'm going to bring this skin in. Okay. You can just segue, you know, fade out, fade in.
Yeah,
and
I'm not even going to stop recording.
Yeah, and then we'll just do like, label it dots.
Yeah.
Next. Now, you may want to practice the zoom in a little bit on the dots, and I can pause for you just for fun.
The only thing I'm a little hesitant on zooming mid-video,
You don't know if you can make it smooth or not.
Well, that also,
yeah.
In case we don't like it.
That's better, right there for the dots, yeah, because the dots are harder to see.
Okay.
Okay.
Still going, so whenever you're
Okay.
ready.
All right, so now we're going to be doing the dots on the latex with a close-up. And this is for the seagulls practice, building the seagulls. Okay, so now that you've got your line drawings done, I did an example where I have the dots over here already, so I'm going to go over them with you. And remember, we're also going to use this skin, or the back of this paper, to help you with your drawing, okay? So what you're going to do is you're going to measure this 1 centimeter right here. And you're going to put those pencil marks, and you can use your ruler right here to look at 1 centimeter. So it should be 1 centimeter thick. Right there. We're going to use this as a guide. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to put your dots down here at the bottom. And I recommend putting your pencil up like this and spinning. It gives you a nice clean dot that way. Spin, and all the way over there. So you have your bottom dots right there. And those are on this plumb line. Now the second one, you're gonna go up. This is where you're gonna measure with your 1 centimeter, and you're gonna put that dot right there. You're gonna slide this down. Put your dot right there. Okay, take it away. You're gonna slide this down. Dot right there, and dot right there. Okay? So you should have these 1 centimeter apart from the bottom. And what you can do now is immediately build the other side. So you've got your dot down here on the bottom, here on the bottom, 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 and now you can literally just go straight across. Dot right there. 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 And right there. Okay, so you got your dots on both sides. This is how we go quick time. Now the next one is going to be your B, and this is where people often get tripped up. So you need to just kind of think of a good brow angle, and I like to just kind of angle it like this. So you can take this like that, and you're going to go on the B line, 1 dot right there. Okay? So what you can do to keep them the same is you can just keep that angle and slide it down. Put your next dot right there. Keep that angle, slide it down. That one's a little bit lower, but you can bring it up, and then keep that angle, slide it down. So the higher your peak, the more arch you're going to have. Now you can immediately go ahead and do the other side by having this one here. Just make sure that your paper is straight across. Put a dot there. Put a dot there. And remember, when you're doing seagulls, this is training your brain to know how to draw a brow from scratch. So it's very important you go through these exercises. I know you may not want to do them, or you feel like they're kind of rudimentary, but they are building up your subconscious reservoir to be able to be a brow master. Okay, so then these ones here, this is where people get tripped up a lot, okay? So what you don't want to do is you don't want to put the dot on this line. It's going to be, oh, there's only 1 dot per line. So now you're going to go on the B6 plumb line, and now we got to create this lower peak dot. And what you can do is you can take this and you can just lay it on an angle. And it's not going to be quite 1 centimeter. It's going to be really close though. So you can put that one right there. And if you can see, I can even keep the same angle as I come down to this one, slide it down to this one, and slide it down to that one. Okay, so you should have no problem putting those. Now to do the other side, we're going to do the exact same thing we did before. We're literally going to go across like this. Go ahead and bang that out. Right across here. This is also teaching your brain to see precision and also teaching your brain to see asymmetry. This is very important skills that you have to have when you're drawing brows on people's faces, because nobody's going to be in the room with you other than you with them. And if you don't see the asymmetry, they're not going to see it, I guarantee, very well. All right, so now we have the tail. Okay, and the tail goes in between the middle of these fronts. Remember we talked about that in class? So they're going to go right there. So to drill, this is where you have to really focus. Now you can use your clear ruler if that helps better. So you can slide this down so you can see where the middle is right there. Some people find that that clear ruler helps them better. Others don't need it. So actually when we come down, this tail is actually a little bit high. So we're going to bring that down a little bit right there. And then now guess what? You get to put it right over on the other side. So you can do that tail right away, and then you can bring this down. Now, if you don't want to use a ruler, you can use this again, okay? So either way, it doesn't matter. Go right down there. Bring it right across. Okay, now we're going to go down here. Halfway through those ones. I already got a dot on one side, and we'll do the other side. And then we'll go halfway down here. Okay? All right. Now you have your dots, okay? So you should have 2 dots on line 1, 1 dot on B, 1 dot on B6, and 1 dot at the very end on C8, okay? If you have 2 dots on any of these lines, you're making a mistake, so go fix it right now. So this is what your dot should look like. Okay, so the next step, what we're gonna do is we're gonna do actually connecting the dots. right? So we're gonna take our ruler now, which is better, or some people like the paper. I don't really care. Either one doesn't matter to me. And now we're gonna draw connecting the dots. So I'm gonna go like here to here. Lay that pencil down, drop it down. Make sure you're also trying to go dot to dot, like right in the middle of each dot so that they're the same thickness. Okay, and then go over here. Dot to dot. This is so good for your brain training, all right? Now the next thing we're gonna do, we're gonna go down and do a set of these all the way down. And what you should see is, you should see that these look pretty even all the way over. So you wanna make sure that this thickness is pretty even all the way. And if you notice any problems with it, you wanna fix it, like this one over here. This one here looks like it's going in a little skinny. So I might have gone too far out, so I'm gonna go ahead and fix that right away. Okay, and the thing with these is that it matters if you're on the inside of the dot, the outside of the dot, but this is what it takes to be good at brows, right? It's all in the millimeters, it's not in the centimeters. So when we're making good brows, it all is in the little tiny details. And remember, we talked about if you mess up your line work, then your dots will be off. And if you mess up your dots, then your outline will be off. So everything leads to the next one. If you make a mistake, it's okay. We're doing pencils, so you just go ahead and self-correct. Okay, so you should start seeing these looking like this. And we'll do another one here. You guys can pause the video and catch up to me. Or you can speed it up if you're faster than me. How's that? Go here. Whoops, a little bit out. Good thing you guys can see me too, making my little right along there. Okay, and then we'll make our final one. So this is, what's nice about this is that it really helps you get a lot of seagulls done quickly. The one on the bottom's a little sketchy, so try to bring it up a little bit. You don't want it so low on the paper. So we're gonna go here. Okay. So you should have these first line drawings done now. Now what we're gonna do, and remember, this should look angled, all right? That's normal. So the next step we're gonna do is we're gonna do the triangle, and then we are done with our straight line drawings, okay? So what you wanna do is don't worry about it looking too triangle-y or too straight edge. We want that like that because we're going to soften these after. Remember, this is you learning how to build a brow. If you were already good at this, you would not need to be here. So we're just going to connect these little triangles. So now you're starting to see flying seagulls. You see what I mean? Now I can already see where this one's a little bit skinnier than this one over here, or this one's skinnier than this one over here. So I will look at that afterwards and correct what that is. It could be that my dots are off a little bit, and that's what the good eyeball is for. Okay, so it looks like my upper peak on this one's a little bit higher. So I will make a note to bring that down. Okay, so we all need self-correction. That's what's great about this, is it gives you a visual right away. So we're going to go here. And then we'll angle that in. Okay, and then over here. As long as the brows are matching and you're within the reasonable look, that's what we're going for. Okay. All right, so now we have our basic seagulls, and what we're gonna do is look at them and we're gonna go, where's our asymmetry, okay? And this is totally normal to have a little asymmetry. So what we're gonna do is you take your white paper down, and what you're gonna do now is you're gonna use this to help your eye see where the asymmetry is. So those two dots, and what you wanna look also as at this negative space right here. So you see the negative this like open space, that's also gonna tell your eye if anything is off on your brows, okay? So you're going to start with that dot, then we're going to slide down. We're going to come to this dot, and this is where I can see that there's a little bit of an issue why the other side's so skinny. This other dot over here is slightly higher, so that's why I brought this one down. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to erase this line just a smidge, okay? And I'm going to even that up a little bit. It just falls right underneath there, and that makes it a little bit better on the even. Okay, so the other thing we're going to do is slide this down, and you're going to start to look at where your own asymmetry is. So this helps you see if you're higher or lower on one side, right? And then we'll go down to the tail right there and look at your negative space. And then what you do is you flip it around, and you can go right here, right to those two dots right there. And just, you got to get used to making sure your paper is straight too, so you got to shift that. And now you can see, oh, okay, it looks like we have a little bit lower tail than this side here. So we're going to fix that. We're going to come down, and it looks like this tail is slightly lower. So we'll bring this one up a little bit, and that'll help correct that. So you're going to make minor corrections totally normal. Okay, so now you can see they're looking a little more even. And then by bringing that dot up too, it's going to make this little top part a little bit thicker as well. So little incremental changes like that will make all the difference. Then what we're going to do is we're going to erase these center lines now, next. So you're going to get rid of these. So what I want you to do is go through and self-correct now, and then erase all these little inner lines here, and then we're going to go to the next step. We're just going to erase these. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and analyze these a little bit. I can see this one's off slightly too. So if I look at my negative space there, there's something going off with one of the tails, and I'm going to take a look at what that is. So I slide this down, and I can see that the tail is slightly off. Very, very small. Let's go back up here. So you could call this segment correcting your seagulls. So look at the negative space right there. There's not too much going on. When I look at it with it's pretty good, so I'm not going to worry about it too much. So we're going to take a look at this one over here. That one's gotten a little off track. So I imagine it's going to be my under peak. Yeah, so what I did is I drew my under peak up a little higher. So I'm going to go ahead and self-correct. So you see, it's not about making mistakes, it's about correcting. That's the key. Because doing dots, you're definitely going to start off with some off dots, right? But it's how do you correct it is where you're training your brain. So everybody's going to have dots off in the beginning, no worries. It's just part of how our brain is. So we're going to fix that a little bit. Okay. And then also we can see on this left side, the one tail's a little skinnier than the other one. So we're going to go look at that. And again, it looks like this dot's a little bit lower. Okay, so now you can see how to go through and correct your seagulls. Make sure they are as close as they can be. And remember, they're sisters, not twins. They do not need to be absolutely perfect, but they need to be good enough that the eye makes them look like they're even. Okay, so we have a basic set of seagulls right there. And then what we're going to do now is go for the rounding. So that's what we're going to do next. Okay, so now that we've done our hard line drawings, we are going to show you how to round them out and soften them. Okay, so what you want to do is go ahead and really erase these lines so they kind of start to disappear in between. So give them a little elbow grease. Practice skins don't erase super easy, but you got to do what you can. So I'm just going to give them a nice erase, clear those out. You want to erase these too because when you're doing your microblade practice, you don't want to have these kind of getting in your way. Okay, all right, so what we're going to do is I'm going to shift my paper this way because I want to have my angle for my pencil easier for me, for my hand, and I'm right-handed. If you're left-handed, clearly do what works for you. Now we're going to start from this part here and this part here, and we're going to end about right here and about right there for rounding out. So what we do is we're going to do etching. Now remember, etching is where you move your pencil slightly like this. So if you could see it from a side angle, I'm actually just going like this with my pencil. It doesn't work well if you draw it like this, okay? That's a no. Don't do it that way. So we want to etch, and that way we get a nice soft line. So we're going to go on this line here. We're just going to go kick it out. Now here's the key. You got to go through the dot, and then you're going to turn your skins as you go if you need to, and then you're going to round it out kind of like a half moon, and then come in right down there. So it should round out a little bit and soften, but you're not adding any height to the top of the brows. So you don't want to go around over the dot. You want to go straight through the dot and kind of think of yourself skating off. Like if you're skiing off a jump, you're just going to go straight and then you go over. Okay, and then down here it's going to be easier. You're going to etch in like this, and then you're going to round through the dot. Okay. And then keep that nice and pointy. And then what you're going to do is you're going to erase that inner line. Okay. So now what you've done is you've created a nice softer seagull. Okay, that's more realistic for a brow. So again, this is cutting through, going down, and then choose one point to be the end, and then you get a nice sharp point. So let's practice that now with all of our seagulls. So you can go along with me, stop at the press pause if you need to kind of catch up, but I'm just going to work and you can see how I do it as well. So we're going to go along here. For this side, I like to have it facing towards me, just easier for my hand. And then I'm going to kick it out. And really try to practice your symmetry. And then over here, I'm going to come in. Remember, keep your needle sharp if it's getting dull. And then make that bottom one slightly pointing out. I'm going to erase. This was the side I had to redo, so it's a little hard. So I'm going to go down to this one now. Etch out, kick it through the dot. Turn your skin. Round out and drop it down. Little point. Remember, choose the top or the bottom to be the end point. Okay, and then over here. Now some people find it easier to go this way. I don't really care which way, whatever works for your hand. Sometimes I go to the line and then it's easier for me to come in this way. Just depends. Okay, so we got that one done. And if the dot's in the way, just go ahead and erase it. Okay, now we're going to come over here. Now looking at this, it feels like it's a little thicker than the other one, so I'm going to go ahead and put my, you can also use that to check, and it is slightly thicker. So I'm not sure where we went off on this one, but I'm going to etch it in. I'll save time and etch it in. So we're going to go here, kick it out past the dot, and then round down, kick it out. And then this one here, I can see I made this a little too thick. So I'm just going to bring it in a little bit. Make it match a little bit more. Okay, next one. Kick it out. So it helps if you go straight out past the dot and then practice etching that little tiny half moon. And I would say this is probably about 1 millimeter or 2. Okay, it's not too far out. Go through here and then start rounding over. It's really good practice to get your art skills up, especially for those of you that haven't picked up a pencil ever or in a really long time. You know, permanent makeup is being an artist, so you have to draw. So you have to get your pencil drawing skills, your line drawing skills up, and this is great practice for you to do also while you prep some brows for you to actually start practicing. So this is great because when you draw these, you're all set to then use these for microblade, use them for ombre. Now when we do ombre, we want to try to create this with a little bit less pencil work because you really want to see your line drawing. But in the beginning, don't worry about it. Okay, so see how we're getting our seagulls looking better? All right, now we're going to go to the last one. Kick this out past the dot again. building up your drawing skills. Now one side's always going to be easier than the other. For me, my right side, this brow is easier because it makes my hand naturally goes this way. So you're going to find that there's going to be one side that just seems to flow easier for you, but you have to learn how to do the other side. Because you cannot just give them one brow, right? They got to have two brows. You can't just charge someone $500 and say, I only do right eyebrows. That's all I do. So you can go find someone else to do your left brow. Like that would be funny. That'd be really good meme. Okay, so this one's a little funky. I'm not going to spend too much time down here. I have to do some correction on it, but you get the gist. Okay, so this is what you should be seeing now is some flying seagulls, right? So if you see they look like seagull wings, then you've hit the right part. Now what I'm going to do next is we've done a rough draft. Now I'm going to take my white paper and I'm going to use this to help me see the negative space. So you're going to go down and recheck your seagulls. Check and make sure that everything's looking good on the negative space. You really want to make sure this under part looks really good because that is what really makes a brow stand out is the under swoop. Okay, the key components is the upper peak where it is and this under swoop is what really, really dials in a brow. So go through, check all of them, do dot to dots, bring it down, check your negative space all the way down, and this will be the completion of your seagulls.